He's been picked out. Socks down to his ankle. Picks out Stansfield. That's the hat-trick. And that's what dreams are made of.
Hello and welcome to Park Life, the official Exeter City podcast. City are 5 unbeaten now and fresh off the back of a fantastic 2-1 victory away to Cheltenham Town. Next up, we host Stevenage at the Park on Saturday, and I for one cannot wait. So let's get straight into it. Coming up in today's show, I'm joined by Park Life regular Sam Parks after his trip to Cheltenham on Monday to talk about the Grecians' super Easter results. City midfielder Jack Aitchison also joins the show to talk about his role in our recent successes, before Nate from the Boro Pod chats all things Stevenage ahead of Saturday's game. First up, I'm joined by Expression FM's Sam Parks, fresh from his trip to Cheltenham on Monday. Sam, everyone knows you by now, but welcome to Park Life once again. 5 unbeaten, 3 of those wins. Oh, how things have changed.
Tom, it's a pleasure to be back, and somehow I return with better form. It's brilliant. It's really nice to be a City fan at the moment. Still riding on that high from Monday, so yeah, really, really good.
Yeah, well, I was going to say, I think there's loads of positivity from the fans, loads of positivity on the pitch as well, because it feels like that's just filling the dressing room at the moment. The lads just look like they love being out there, and I think the win against Cheltenham kind of personifies that in many ways. A late win, which is always great, but it just feels like the team is playing with so much character and positivity right now.
Yeah, they're really just enjoying their football at the moment. I think that's the best way to say it. As soon as we equalised at the weekend, you just sort of knew that there was a goal coming. The boys were playing really nice football the whole game, really. It was just really, really good to watch them play their stuff, and players look really comfortable on the pitch, and you've got to give credit to Gary and everyone at the club for making that happen at the moment.
Coming back from losing positions is not something we've done an awful lot this season, but it is something we've started to do in recent weeks. You look at the Bolton game, being a goal down, eventually, well, we were leading up until the end, weren't we? But then an equaliser meant that at least we got a point from a losing position there. Look back a little bit further ago, and Peterborough, going a goal down and then coming back to take the win. And yet again, we do it on Monday against Cheltenham. It's great to see that the side have got this in their locker, because it maybe isn't something that we thought they really had at the start of the season.
Yeah, look, bounce back ability is absolutely huge in matches in League One. Teams do just score. No matter how good a team is, it's quite easy to get a goal in League One. We've seen it quite a lot of times this season where teams have pulled one back and you're suddenly thinking, okay, we could be in a bit of trouble. But to actually turn it around shows really, really good credit to City. Really impressive stuff, and mentally, I think they're really enjoying the challenge at the moment.
Yeah, I think that's totally true. Let's focus on a couple of the key players then from Monday's performance, and I think there's a couple of places I could start. I am going to start with Alex Hartridge. I think he deserves a lot of praise for his performance on Monday. If we're both being honest, I'm not sure either of us really expected him to be involved, even in the matchday squad against Cheltenham, but it was a really pleasant surprise to see him start for City for the first time since mid-January, and it was his first time in the matchday squad since mid-February. However, he seemed to just tuck in seamlessly in that back line.
Absolutely unfazed he was, which was amazing to see, and you've got to give real credit to Alex for that. No mistakes. He looked like he'd been playing in that unit for the last 2 months. Really, really solid performance. Didn't put a foot wrong for the whole game, and real show of character, because it's hard being on that fringe group. They said in the interviews earlier, there's a whole group of players just in that fringe group, and it's hard to get into the team. But fair play to Alex. He really grasped that opportunity and didn't put a foot wrong, and it was really, really impressive stuff.
And I guess it does show that if you work hard in training, you will be given those opportunities, which is something that is really positive and something that Gary's certainly focused on. But we can't possibly forget to mention the man of the moment, Reece Cole again. Ole, ole. Our top goal scorer in the league this season, and he always seems to pop up just when it matters most, and he certainly did that on Monday.
Yeah, a brilliant penalty. Keeper guessed the right way, but he's just smashed it into the corner. He's just a man of, real quality in that final third. He's tucked a few away at SJP in recent weeks, and tucked a penalty away to win us the game. And all credit to him. I think ultimately he's probably the signing of the season, to bring him in from non-league, and not enjoying his football to, now League One, and he's one of our best players this season. You've got to give credit to himself and, the scouting team that found him, because, what a player.
Well, 100%. And you look back to where he was kind of at this point last year, and I know he said it himself. He never really thought that he would get this opportunity to come back in. That's a real test of character in many ways, and it just keeps paying off, doesn't it? Reece has been fantastic.
Yeah, he's grasped his opportunities with two hands. Really good start to the season. Grabbed that new contract. When he's captain the side as well, he's looked really assured. A really impressive player, and you've got to give all credit to him.
Yeah, and cue the celebrations after that penalty in the away end. So many Grecians making the trip up to Cheltenham. I think it was over 1,500 in the end. I mean, absolutely brilliant. We probably could have sold that away end a couple of times over, to be honest. So many Grecians eager to get there. And I suppose my question is, what was the atmosphere like? Because it looked absolutely fantastic from where I was sat.
Yeah, near that corner where all the fans were congregating after that first, the equaliser went in, and it really took it up a notch. It was a beautiful atmosphere. Cheltenham, you're right on the pitch pretty much. The stand on the side, you are literally on the pitch. There's no barrier. So yeah, it was a great atmosphere. And when that penalty went in, absolutely amazing. We all saw the scenes at full time, and it's lovely to see a fan base, getting behind the team and so excited.
Yeah, well, yeah, it's got to be, hasn't it? All of this good stuff basically means that we're past the 50-point mark now, which, say it quietly, should pretty much guarantee our survival in League One this season. Might get told off for saying that, but it's quite an achievement to get to this point, right?
Yeah, quite an achievement. Mathematically, we're not safe, so obviously we can't go around blaring anything yet, until we hopefully stay safe. But look back to December, and you never thought City would be in this position. I think we had a 40% chance, or if not higher, of relegation back then. So credit to the team, credit to the club, and credit to the fans. Sticking behind City, following them away and at home. Really good work, and hopefully it's looking like it's another season in League One again next year.
Yeah, which is exactly what we wanted right from the off this season. And to stay in the league, to avoid that second season syndrome, it's been a fantastic achievement. But we're not quite done yet. Still 5 games left to play this season, and only 2 more at the Park, which is disappointing, but all good things come to an end. Stevenage are the side to visit the Park next, and they're not in great form. 7 games without a win. They're looking vulnerable. Do you think we've got what it takes to take advantage of that situation?
I think we do, and I think my main reason behind that is Stevenage aren't scoring goals at the moment. The goals have dried up for Stevenage, and I think our defence has been really good in the last few games. Conceded a late one against Charlton, and conceded a sloppy goal against Cheltenham. But besides that, it's looked good. We haven't conceded more than 2 since Derby, and that was 2 months ago now. So really good work, and I think we could get a result. I think a draw is probably most likely, against a Stevenage team that it's their last chance to make the playoffs. I think this Saturday they need to win. But yeah, I think it's going to be a good game, and you back City with the form that they're in.
Yeah, you certainly would. Yes, they haven't scored in their last 2 games, but they also haven't conceded. It's 2 consecutive clean sheets. It does show that they're pretty strong defensively still pretty solid. We're going to have to build our best to get past that back line, because they've got some fantastic defenders in there.
Yeah, they really do. It's a really strong team. Steve Evans has had a great season. He got nominated for manager of the season today, and to bring a team straight up and have them competing for playoffs is really impressive stuff. City have been in really good form, and you'd back the likes of maybe Reece Cole, Luke Harris coming off the back of another goal, Sonny Cox maybe to hopefully grab one. So yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, plenty of positivity heading into Saturday's game. I can say that now. No more Fridays or Mondays. Back to Saturdays, and I couldn't be more excited. Sam, thank you so much for joining me on Park Life this week. And thank you for all your contributions this season. You've been a regular this season. So thank you so much for all of your help. Next, I'm joined by City midfielder Jack Aitchison to discuss his first season as a Grecian. Jack, welcome to Park Life. Thanks so much for coming on. At the tail end of what has been a rollercoaster of a season, things have really started to pick up now with some fantastic results in the last few weeks. You must be delighted with the way you've turned things around.
Yeah, no, definitely. Especially over the last 5-6 games, I think I've picked up some good points. The team's playing really good stuff as well. Obviously, we went through that kind of dodgy patch that we did over the kind of Christmas period, but I think that shows the kind of resilience, and we didn't really change much. We stuck to the process, and it's obviously starting to change now, so it's been good.
Yeah, and that's really positive. Let's talk a little about Cheltenham then. It felt like a game that we dominated and a game that we deserved all 3 points from, but we had to work hard for it. Of course, Reece Cole scoring that penalty in pretty much the last minute. It was certainly a hard-fought win.
Yeah. I felt in the first half we played some good stuff, but obviously we had a couple of early chances. I think Luke had one and Mo as well. So obviously we went into half time obviously feeling quite good. And obviously they started quite well. They made a couple of changes. I thought the left winger was quite good when he came on, changed the game a bit. But I don't think we've actually came back many times this season after we went behind. So I think that shows that we are starting to overcome stuff that we've not done before. And yeah, I was just buzzing. Obviously, we get a penalty in the last minute to get 3 points.
Yeah, well, absolutely. And you mentioned something that I suppose I was about to move on to, sort of getting those 3 points or getting at least a point from losing positions. It's not something we've done an awful lot this season, but in recent weeks, we actually have started to pick up those points. You know, a point against Bolton after going 1 down. Also 3 points against Peterborough as well, and a little bit longer ago. But it's good that the team are capable of winning from those positions, which is maybe not something we saw at the start of the season.
Yeah, I think, at the start of the season, I don't think so, especially for that kind of rough patch of what I spoke about. It's kind of one of the ones like, here we go again. No, I think it shows the resilience of the team, and obviously I'd say it's quite a young team, and it shows that we can have that kind of experience through, like, obviously Swains and Will, and obviously the experiences through the gaff and stuff like that to keep sticking to the process. And I know I've said it 2 or 3 times already, but it's starting to change. I know it's coming to the end of the season. We wish that we still get to carry on because obviously we're doing well at the moment. But I think it stands us in good stead, especially for the start of next season.
Yeah, I mean, we're thinking about next season already, and I guess that's mainly due to the fact that we've managed to pick up all those points in recent weeks, now getting past that 50-point mark, which means that safety is nearly guaranteed. It must be nice to put the threat of relegation behind you now.
Yeah, I think, I wouldn't say the word relax, but obviously it eases you a little bit. Obviously, after every game, all the boys will always check the phone straight away to see if we're still in it, we're still out it or what. But I think obviously the aim for us is obviously to get more points than what the team did last season. I think we still obviously get enough games to do that, and that's the aim, to get over that.
Yeah, and that would be a great sort of positive step if that is the case. On a personal note, though, I think this season, just like the whole season, combined, I guess, has been a bit of a roller coaster. Look back to the opening day and you scored less than 30 seconds into your debut. A few months later, you were getting sent off away to Stevenage, of course, the team we play on Saturday. But now you're back in the goals and making some fantastic contributions as well. How has this season felt on a personal level?
I felt well after the first 5-10 minutes of the first game of the season. I was thinking, get a win the league here. I think we were like 2-0 up, 3-0 up, and I was like, geez. But it's been good. Obviously, I had operation in that in this season as well. Obviously, I had a hernia, which I didn't actually know about until just like a couple of weeks before that. So I was obviously playing through that with a torn oblique on the same side as well. So my right hand side wasn't working that well, but then obviously I found that maybe a month or 2 months to get back after that when I was fully fit to get back up to speed. Then obviously leading on to obviously Stevenage, who we got at the weekend, that obviously get sent off. don't think the fans were too happy, to be fair. But I thought it was a very harsh sending off. All I asked was, how was that not a foul? And obviously I get second yellow, but the boys dug me out. And now, obviously, like you said, over the last couple of weeks that I've started, obviously, in the goals more, and obviously I want more. I think I've hit the post like 6 times, so sometimes at training I get called Woody. So it's it frustrates me, but that's football. But as long as the team gets a win, that's the main thing.
Yeah, you mentioned how many times you've hit the post this season. I mean, you say 6. It feels like more than that, to be honest. I suppose it is that part of the game, though, that you've put a real emphasis on improving in recent weeks and months, particularly in recent weeks now that that's started to pay dividends. How much were you working on finishing? Because it's obviously something that you were so close to earlier in the campaign, but now it's really paying dividends.
Yeah, obviously, after every training session, really. If that's myself with Nico, I work quite close with Nico. After training, shooting wise, obviously the gaff will take the defenders and stuff like that. Or there'll be a bunch of boys after training that just obviously work a finishing drill. So that's something that I've been working on, and obviously I put that pressure on myself to get more goals as well. And there's still time for that, but I think you're never really satisfied with yourself, and you always want more. So hopefully, with the goals kind of keep coming now.
Yeah, well, let's hope so. And one player who the goals are also coming for, another player in your sort of attacking triangle, Luke Harris, scored twice now, including a really good goal against Cheltenham on Monday. I guess you've been in a similar position to Luke in that you're both attacking midfielders, both have represented your countries at youth level, and also both started off at big clubs. How much have you been giving Luke a bit of advice? Because I guess you have been in a similar position to him, right?
Yeah, no, I mean, Luke's really close, to be fair. Obviously, I feel like obviously he made his debut for furlong before coming as well at a really young age, and I made mine at Celtic at a really young age. So I feel like me and him get really similar kind of paths. But obviously we sit next to each other in the changing room, and we're just always just taking the mick at each other. And we're quite close. We actually done a gym session earlier together as well, so we're quite close bonded. But I think obviously he's younger, but I think he's actually came in and helped my game. Me and the gaffer spoke about that as well, that he allows me to get higher up the pitch. Before, I felt like I had to come deep and pick up the ball in not so dangerous areas, but Luke coming in has allowed me to do that, and maybe that's why I've had a couple more goal involvements.
And I guess, the arrival of Sonny Cox, or him coming back from his loan spell at Yeovil and how brilliant he's been since, has also really helped there. I mean, it's a great little trio that we've got at the moment.
Yeah, I think obviously I only came in this season, so I didn't know too much about Sonny, but obviously heard that he was quite highly rated. Trained with us a couple of times, and you could see obviously how powerful he was, and an eye for goal as well. So I think after he came back for the loan, I thought, wow, like different player altogether. And obviously he showed that. He's came back in, and I'd say he's turned into more a man, to be honest, the way that he's built his body physically and probably mentally as well. So yeah, we all got on really well, and it's quite a young attacking three, to be honest. So yeah, just older head. I'm only just turned 24, so I feel really old. But now hopefully they both continue playing well.
Well, yeah, absolutely. And let's move on to Saturday's game then. Stevenage at home. The reverse fixture, probably one of the more memorable ones this season. We've already spoken about it. But since then, I guess both sides have had their fortunes changed completely. Stevenage have dropped out of those automatic positions and are now, battling for a playoff place. And obviously, we've come out of the relegation zone and are battling more in midfield. What kind of game are you expecting? Because it's got to be different from the last time, right?
Yeah, we're talking about Stevenage here, so all I think about is just long ball, a physical game. But I don't think they've won 6 or 7, so I think obviously they're in their playoffs, so they're going to be desperate for the 3 points. It's not going to be an easy game. Obviously, I spoke about them being long ball, but I think they're one of the teams that are actually really good at it. They pick up second balls and get long throw-ins, corners, and they just get everything into your box, which can be really tough. Obviously, I watched the game back the last time when I got sent off, and obviously the boys, the way they defended the box was brilliant. So credit to them, and hopefully they can do it again on Saturday.
Well, let's hope so. You mentioned that they're 7 games without a win. I guess that gives you a real opportunity, I guess, to take advantage of their situation and keep the 3 points at the Park.
Yeah, I think obviously we're at home as well, so we want to dominate the ball. We want to give the fans something to obviously cheer about, and it's one of the last games at home of the season, so we obviously want to go out in a high, in a way, kind of stop the playoff hopes as well.
Well, let's hope so. And finally, are the boys confident they can pick up a result?
Yeah, I think that the confidence is high at the moment. Even when we went through that kind of rough patch, like nobody changed, nothing changed at the club. We stuck to the process, and yeah, I think it was a bit more a chilled session today, which was nice, just to take your mind off things and just relax a bit and not so intense. And I think tomorrow we'll ramp back up on Friday and 3 points on Saturday, hopefully.
Yeah, let's hope so. Jack, thank you so much for joining me on Park Live this week, and best of luck for Saturday.
Thank you.
Finally, Nate from the Boro Pod pops in to talk all things Stevenage ahead of Saturday's match at the Park. Nate, welcome to Park Life. Thanks so much for coming on. Stevenage are in a tricky position right now. From an outsider's perspective, it looks like you've been overachieving somewhat all season. I think you were 3rd last time we played you. But regardless, you look like a team capable of finishing in the playoffs from what we saw before Christmas. Now 7 games without a win. What's gone wrong?
Yeah, I mean, the easiest way of explaining it would just be to say that, everybody's had a chance to see us now and sort of figure out how to play against us. We're not scoring goals is also the main reason. We're not shipping many, as has been sort of pretty consistent throughout the season, but we're just not scoring at the moment. Jamie Reid, who obviously you and your listeners are familiar with, was the man getting all of the goals in the first half of the season. Those have dried up, so now we're just not scoring any.
Yeah, and that seems to be the way it is at the moment. Despite being without a win in 7, though, you are still 3 games unbeaten. I guess, though, this stage in the season, the odd point here and there, it isn't really going to do much for your playoff hopes.
No, I mean, you say, unbeaten in 3, but over the last 6, our form is 22nd out of 24. It's not remotely good enough. It's full on relegation form. The performances haven't largely really been that bad, if I'm completely honest. We were the better team against both Charlton and Bolton over the Easter weekend. We were woeful away against Carlisle. We drew 2-2 there. We fully deserved to lose 2 or 3-0. We were a shambles. Yeah, it's just difficult. January really let us down in terms of strengthening the side, and most of the players that came in at that point just aren't really up to scratch.
Yeah, and that seems to be the way it is at the moment. A little to celebrate over the Easter period. 2 games, 0 goals. Yes, 2 clean sheets. But do those results feel as uninspiring as they looked on paper?
Yeah, probably. It's a reasonable way to describe them. On Boro Pod this week, we've sort of said playoffs are gone now. We're only 3 points back, but Lincoln have put 15, 16 points on the board in the last 6 games, and the only game in that 6 that they didn't win was against us. But in that time they've scored 15, 16 goals. We've got 3, I think. Lincoln's run's just insane. You can't really account for it, but someone always does it, don't they? But they since the end of January, they've gone from 0 goal difference to plus 24, and they've just flown up the table. Oxford as well. They at times this season they've been flying. Certainly when they still had Liam Manning at the helm. And obviously now, they've had their struggles, but they've hung in there at the edge of the playoff race. It's just our turn to struggle, I guess.
Yeah, and sometimes that is what happens.
It happens.
Yeah. Steve Evans is a man who divides opinion, but there is no doubting his footballing credentials. I guess if there's one man to get you back on track, then he is that guy, right?
Yeah, I mean, he's no stranger to League One. He's no stranger to being promoted from League One. He's no stranger to promotions. You're being very diplomatic about the way you say that he divides opinions. You like him when he's your manager. You hate him when he's not. That seems to be the way it is. It remains to be seen whether we feel that way once he moves on to pastures new. But I mean, I'd like to think he's got something up his sleeve to help us get over the line. But I just don't see it from the lack of chances we're creating. We're not creating nearly as much as we were earlier on in the season, and what we do create, we're not taking.
Well, one man who hasn't missed the target many times this season, and one man who's exceeded all expectations this season, is former City Academy graduate Jamie Reid. Things didn't really work out for him here, but at Stevenage he looks a man reborn. 17 goals for the Northern Irish international now. Quite exceptional, really.
Oh, yeah. So, I mean, if you'd have asked us about him not last summer, the summer before, we wouldn't have been that asked if he hadn't have been re-signed. He was a player that, I mean, he was almost the archetypal Stevenage player of the time. Enough graft, but absolutely no quality. And it was like, you appreciated the effort he put in, but didn't score ever. But it just seems to have clicked under Steve Evans. He was good last season. He wasn't great, if I'm being honest. None of our forwards were great last season. It was very much a promotion built off of, we're going to score once. What the hell are you going to do? We did have a couple of bigger wins, but not as many as you'd sort of expect a team finishing perhaps comfortably second would. This season, I don't know what's got into him. Honestly, I don't know what's got into him. He still does his typical, if he's got time to think about what he's going to do with the ball, he's not going to score. He's a very instinctive striker. I mean, the goal he scored on his international debut, the ball's put through to him. He's got to act on it immediately, or the goalkeeper's going to smother it. And he's smashed it in off the underside of the bar. He's Yeboa'd it, and we absolutely made up for him. It's just, he hadn't scored for ages for us before doing that, and he ain't scored since coming back. It's just like, we could have done with that actually against Carlisle.
Yeah, well, perhaps so. Stevenage visit the park on Saturday, hoping to finally end their winless run. But as far as my records go back, I don't think you've ever won at our place, and you haven't beaten us at the Lamex since 2018. You've got to consider City a bit of a bogey team, right?
Among many others, I think there seem to be no end of teams that Stevenage just never do well against. Exeter, unfortunately, being one. Yeah, I don't have much confidence for this Saturday with the run of form that we're in, the run of form you're in. If you had to put two teams in front of me, and say which one would you rather be following this weekend, the one with Sonny Cops, playing well up front is probably going to be the one that I'm going to say they're probably going to win. That being said, Carl Piergiani's back in our defence. We're still looking sturdy, so I don't necessarily think that we're going to lose. I don't think we're going to win.
Well, we'll see, won't we? It'll be an interesting battle, I'm sure. But yeah, thank you so much, Nate, for coming on Park Live this week. It's been a pleasure to get your opinions on Stevenage. And best of luck for the playoff race. Hopefully we can sort of damage your credentials there on Saturday. But best of luck regardless.
Thank you. Thank you very much for having me.
What a great episode. Great to hear from Jack Aitchison about his relationship with Luke Harris and how he's worked with Kevin Nicholson to add goals to his game. Also brilliant to get the view from the terraces after Sam Park's visit to Cheltenham on Monday. And all finished off with a rundown on Saturday's opposition from the Boro Pod's Nate. Still one more episode to come this season, but if you haven't already, please do leave a 5-star review wherever you're listening to the podcast. It helps us out more than you could know. Also, please do continue to let us know what you'd like to hear more of ahead of the final episode of the season at the end of the month. Once again, thanks for listening. Up the City.
He's been picked out. Socks down to his ankle. Picks out.